Well, can we talk quickly about supply? Because I feel like if there's two things here that we haven't discussed, one was, I think the 50-year amortization, at least in my mind, is something that's really kind of something I don't think we've talked about, at least I don't remember. And then these ideas about supply
Mm.
that you have, not ideas, but just a new way of framing supply right now is super interesting as well.
Yeah, and this is born out of, again, conversations I've been lucky enough to have with people way smarter than me. One of your past guests, Brendan Augmanson, Chief Economist of BC Real Estate Association. And then I was lucky enough to host an interview for the Mortgage Brokers Association of BC with Benjamin Tall, CIBC's chief economist. And this came up with both of them. And it was the talk around how when you used to hear the housing starts numbers, I suspect nearly every listener, other than those deep in the industry, but every, Joe and Mary Sixpack, Q Public listener to this, when you heard housing starts, did you not think that meant resale units being built? Condos, townhouses, houses that are being built that I might be able to buy. I think pretty well everyone I know that I've asked this question has said, yeah, isn't that what housing starts are? No, it was 90% that and 10% purpose-built rental. And purpose-built rental just wasn't a thing. As we know in BC in particular, it really wasn't a thing. Like there was virtually no purpose-built rental construction happening whatsoever for decades. And today, when you hear the housing starts numbers for September, for whatever the next period you're going to hear them and that reported is, those numbers are now 50-50. 50% of that housing start number, not 10%, is now purpose-built rental. In some provinces, it's 60%. And if you drill right down into some municipalities, it's as much as 80% of the new units coming online in a municipality are purpose-built rental. So what does that mean? It means the supply numbers are not what we think they are for our clients. Like for the people listening to this podcast who are homeowners or prospective homeowners or real estate investors, the supply numbers you hear, they're not what they used to be. In fact, we're building fewer than just about ever. Fewer purpose-built or resale product, pardon me, fewer resale pieces of property. That's huge to me.
And
And
that's
so
a
my
story that
question
is
to
not
both,
being told, right?
yeah, and my question to both Benjamin and Brendan was, do we not need to start teasing these two numbers apart and reporting these two numbers separately? Because this is very, very misleading. And there has been a material change in those two numbers. And it's just like the biggest unreported news story ever. So to talk about burying the lead, we saved that for the very end, but there it is. Like in your intro, maybe mention that. We
Yeah, yeah,
buried
yeah,
the
yeah.
lead. Yeah.
Stay to the end.
Yeah. And
But I
it's
mean,
it's it's pretty crazy when you think about the math on that.
so and just for listeners, like if you were looking at, say, the supply numbers 4 or 5 years ago versus the supply numbers today, apart from the actual split, how, there's also generally a decreasing number of housing units being built right now. And then factor in it's not 90-10, it's 50-50 more or less. That means that if you're either looking to purchase a property or have a property, there's just fewer houses going to be built over the next God knows how long that you can
Yeah.
buy.
Well, individual detached home permits are at a 50-year record low in BC. BC detached home permits, 50-year record low. It's staggering. It's almost down to zero. It's a pretty incredible chart to have a look at.